Welcome to the fourth episode in the exam preparation video series for SC-200 Microsoft Security Operations Analyst. I'm Bob Tickleman, and I'm a Microsoft technical trainer. This is the fourth and last episode in the series. In this episode, we'll focus on configuring protections and detections. I'll be covering hunting for threats using KQL, hunting for threats using Microsoft Sentinel, and analyzing and interpreting data using Workbooks. Here's the list of the different skills for the objectives we'll be covering. As mentioned in previous episodes, these are some of the skills you may or may not be tested on. We will not necessarily cover every skill in the video, but you should be familiar with each skill before taking the exam. To identify threats using Kusto Query Language, or KQL, and creating custom hunting queries, it's important to understand the two distinct types of advanced hunting data and how each is considered differently. The event or activity data populates tables about alerts, security events, system events, and routine assessments. Advanced hunting receives this information almost immediately after the sensors that collected them successfully transmit them from the corresponding cloud service. And entity data populates tables from information about users and devices. It comes from both relatively static data sources as well as dynamic data sources, such as Active Directory entities and event logs. To provide fresh data, tables are updated with any new information every 15 minutes, adding rows that might not be fully populated. Custom detection rules are designed using advanced hunting queries. These rules let you proactively monitor various events and system states, including suspected breach activities and misconfigured endpoints. They can be set to run at regular intervals, automatic response actions applied to files and devices, allowing for automated response to detect threats. And to manage custom detections, you need specific permissions and roles. The security operations role can manage alerts and have global read-only access to security-related features, including all information in the Microsoft Defender portal. This role is sufficient for managing custom detections only if role-based access control, or RBAC, is turned off in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. You can also manage custom detections that apply to data for specific Defender XDR solutions if you have the right permissions for them. Here's a question for you. What permission would you need to create a custom detection using identities? The threat analysis dashboard is divided into several sections: the latest threats, high impact threats, and the highest exposure threats. Each threat analytic report includes the following sections, typically overviews, analytic reports, related incidences, impacted assets, prevented email attempts, and exposure and mitigations. In Microsoft Sentinel, you can view the current MITRE coverage by navigating to the Threat Management menu on the left and select MITRE. This allows you to see how well your organization is covered against various attacks and techniques used by adversaries as defined by the MITRE attack framework. Regularly running MITRE in an organization is critical for several reasons. Its analytical rules help detect threats by using predefined queries that map to specific MITRE attack techniques. By analyzing incidents through the MITRE attack matrix, you can understand the tactics and techniques used by attackers. This helps you identify patterns and improve your incident response strategies. Using this framework for hunting allows you to proactively search for threats in your environment, identifying potential vulnerabilities, and taking preventative measures. The threat analysis dashboard in Microsoft Sentinel includes several sections: the latest threats, the highest impact threats, and the highest exposure threats. Each threat analytic report includes the following sections of overview, analytic reports, related incidents, impact assessment, prevented email attempts, and exposure and mitigation. In Microsoft Sentinel, you should know how to manage and use threat indicators effectively, as well as knowing how to view, sort, filter, and search your imported threat indicators without even writing a log query. This will make it easier to manage and analyze threat intelligence data. Know that the two most common tasks for threat indicators are creating new threat indicators by creating threat indicator directly within the Microsoft Sentinel interface, and tagging indicators for easy grouping and referencing. It's a useful way to group them together, making them easier to find and manage. By leveraging these capabilities, you can effectively manage and utilize threat indicators to enhance your organization's security posture. Know how to create and manage hunts in Microsoft Sentinel using custom queries to refine your threat hunting process. There are 3 things you will need to know to create and configure these custom queries. Create a new query. You're going to fill in the necessary fields, map the entity types, identifiers, and columns to ensure that the query is going to capture the relative data. Optionally, you can map MITRE attack techniques to your hunting queries by selecting the tactic technique and sub-techniques if applicable. You're going to then clone an existing query, or you can create an existing custom query. Know that you can only edit existing custom queries that you created, not the built-in ones. Hunting using a live stream in Microsoft Sentinel allows you to create interactive sessions that continuously run queries against live data as events occur. This approach helps you detect threats in real time and respond promptly. Live stream sessions are particularly useful for testing newly created queries, reviewing notifications when matches are found, and launching investigations if necessary. You should be able to control the key actions that can be performed while threat hunting using a live stream, which are creating the live stream session, viewing the live stream sessions, receiving the notifications, and then elevating to an alert if necessary. Make sure that you can create and use hunting bookmarks in Microsoft Sentinel to preserve and organize data during threat hunting. They allow you to save queries and query results that you find relevant, along with your contextual observations, notes, and tags. This makes it easier to reference and collaborate on findings with your team. Key features of bookmarks include preservation of queries and results, contextual observations, collaboration with your teammates, integration with MITRE attack, and entity mapping. Saved workbooks in Microsoft Sentinel are available on the My Workbooks tab, where you can further customize them to suit your needs. You can select Edit to open a workbook in edit mode, allowing you to add or remove items and provide additional customization. Key features of customizing workbook templates include adding or removing items such as charts, graphs, tables to your workbook. You're going to customize visualizations to display the data in a way that is most useful for you. This includes changing the types of charts, adjusting the time range, and applying filters to focus on specific data points. You're going to use parameters in your workbook to make them more interactive. Parameters are going to allow you to dynamically change the data displayed in the workbook based around user input. You can clone and save workbooks to create new versions of an existing workbook. This is going to allow you to experiment with different customizations without affecting the original workbook. And you can share and collaborate with your customized workbooks, and you can assign Azure Role-Based Access Control, RBAC, to define who can view or edit the workbook. To create a custom workbook in Microsoft Sentinel, you can start by selecting Add Workbook on the header bar from the Workbooks page. This opens a new workbook page which will contain a basic analytic query to get you started. When designing a workbook, you can use various visualization types and elements to present your data effectively. Here are some of the key visualization types and elements that you can use. There's text, grid, chart, map, there's time brush, bubble, parameters, and images. By leveraging these visualization types and elements, you can create comprehensive interactive workbooks that effectively communicate your security insights and findings. We've covered a few of the main topics and only scratched the surface of them. But remember, there are a number of other skill areas that were not covered. For example, to restore archived log data in Microsoft Sentinel, you need to know how to specify the table and time range, restore the data, and then view status and results. Create and manage search jobs in Microsoft Sentinel for investigating specific events over long periods. You're going to have to configure visualizations in Microsoft Sentinel to visualize and monitor your data using time range filters, caller resource groups, caller activity table, and edit and additional parameters. To recap, in this episode, we discussed how to hunt for threats using Microsoft Defender XDR, hunting for threats by using Microsoft Sentinel, creating and configuring Microsoft Sentinel workbooks. Remember, this group accounts for 15 to 20% of the exam, so keep that in mind when preparing for the exam. Thank you for watching the SC-200 Microsoft Security Operations Analyst Exam Prep video series. We hope that this series helped you understand the skills that you're strong in and the areas that you might need to revisit. Remember that understanding these concepts is critical to your exam success. Be sure to leverage the other exam prep resources such as the study guides, practice assessments, and exam sandboxes. I want to thank you for taking the time, and remember, security is everyone's responsibility.